about the importance of letting your hired know about all types of disability that they have, whether it be like me with a cerebral palsy diagnosis or invisible intellectual disability that you might not be able to see. Maybe that dyslexia, maybe that a processing disorder, or maybe that something else that you don't think will directly impact them right away as a child. But what you're not thinking about is how that might be impact later down the road in their adult life when it comes to finding employment or making friends or keeping friends or even interacting with important people in our community, whether that be a healthcare provider, emergency service personnel, or even a random stranger on the street trying to help them coming out. So today I want to talk to you about why it's important that you tell your child about all their disabilities, and even if you are a caregiver, an adult who might have a multitude of disabilities, why telling them, even in adulthood, why would that matter? As a parent of someone with a disability, it is oftentimes hard to be your mom and your responsibility to protect them from the world around them, because we are different and there are a lot of people who don't understand disability and there are a lot of accessibility barriers. But what you need to understand, protecting your child with a disability comes in many different forms, especially when it comes to letting them know what exactly is wrong with them. And I don't mean like wrong with them, oh my God, I mean like what diagnosis they have. Because let me tell you, eventually the older we get, the more information we will find out on our own about how difficult it is for us to do something. For me, that really happened when I was working at a non-profit organization that I was the social media communication coordinator at, and I was really having trouble with editing my work and making sure that my work aligned with their agency, and it was really hard for me to express to my coworkers what was going on in my head and why was my work like that, as well as I want everything to be perfect and I want to impress everybody, and it was really hard for me to do that verbally. So I had to say, okay, I literally had to come paid out to my boss and say, hey, I have a processing disorder and this is how it affects me. And I realized that when I wasn't able to perform my employment the right way, and I feel like the older you get, the harder it is to figure out where you want to go after your services are ended at 18 years old, because when you're in the school system, you are protected under the law and the rules of your IEP, and you're surrounded by professionals, whether that be a special ed teacher, a parent, or even teachers that have worked with disabled students in the past, so they are not going to be as hard as the real society. But when you get out here, there are not protectable people behind your direct support professional that you hire, that you interview, that you onboard. Behind them, no one around them is going to know that they have a certain type of disability unless they tell them. And when they tell them, they need to be like, yeah, I have a processing disorder, and this is what the processing disorder means for me. Processing disorder means that I might need extra help playing a video game, for example, or telling me what buttons to hit in Fortnite. But if you don't tell them what they have, that significantly impact how they interact with people, how they are perceived by people, how they are perceived by people, because when you are in a job interview, you have to be able to act coy and act the mood for a good point. But if you are unable to do that for whatever reason, maybe you have autism, maybe you have a heavy disorder that you might need a pivot toy. As long as you tell people, hey, I have a really hard time understanding horse patterns, if you're in an interview and for someone like me, you have trouble understanding when people are being real or not real or being funny and sarcastic, that might be something that you might want to tell them. Like, hey, I have this disability that makes it really hard to me to understand when people are being literal or not. So by telling your hired that they have an intellectual disability or an individual or a invisible disability, you are actually helping them learn how to advocate and learn how to have the world outside build around them. Now that doesn't mean that the world will be 100% applicable to them. That means that they can take that knowledge. Hey, I'm really bad at doing this. Or hey, in school I had an accommodation because I had this certain disability. Maybe I can look into it for the workplace. By doing that, you are giving your hired the best opportunity to be involved in a relatable community setting rather than a head-related community setting. Because I also feel like if you are not owning up to your higher diagnosis all the way, you might feel the immediate need to put them in a sheltered rooftop or put them in an independent supported living home, when in reality, they might not need that. You are putting them in there. You don't know if they're able to survive the real world. And don't get me wrong, I know that having disability are so severe that you cannot tell them about it. And I admit it. I completely understand that. But there are some people in the world that have capacity and that have the ability to follow their dreams or figure out a hobby that they can turn into a career one day. And they are unable to do it because they are unable to tell the people who they are working with to build their dream what exactly is going on with them. And so it makes the resources that they could be using help them handle problem, or help them met the DSP support they need, or help them operate their business. It makes me want a really, really hard time because every resource that you have, disabled or not, whether you're homeless or need food as a food pantry or disabled or you are a new mother and you need baby resources. Every resource provided to you in your own community is categorized by the topic that resource is related to. So if you know you need something for a processing disorder, you might be able to reach out to the developmental disability hospital in your state and say, hey, I have this processing disorder, and technology happening in my state help me find a teen reader software so it can read my document. Or hey, I have this here. Do you have any resources for that? But if they don't know what resources they're asking for, you're actually hindering their ability to be a productive member of society. So I 100% recommend that if you're a parent of a child who has an individual education plan in school, if that plan has cerebral palsy and then a buffer undermining condition, don't be afraid to bring it up to your child, especially when they're a teenager or a tween, because when they're younger, between the age of 1 and 10, of course they're not going to need to know that they have these things, because the younger you are, the more accepting to the water of you, but the older you are, the older you are, the more your parents become out of the picture. Your parents are the kind of the Uber driver to play date or whatever. Your parents are not necessarily the chaperone of every interaction that you possibly have in the woods. So preparing them by saying, hey, you have this could really set them up for success when building healthcare relationships, asking for accommodations in school, and then eventually figuring out what they want to do in the workforce.